Hello and welcome to another episode of Reality Check. I'm Stewart Swerdlow and it's Mind Over Chatter once again. Today we have a very special guest from halfway across the world in Australia. His name is Cliff Dess and he's here to share with us some very fascinating experiences which I've never heard of before in all of my existence. Cliff, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Stuart.
And tell us about where you live exactly in Australia so the audience knows.
I live in a place called Heathcote, which is a good hour and a half's drive from Melbourne.
And that's in the southeastern part of Australia?
Yes, it's central Victoria.
Okay. And how'd you wind up there?
Well, I sort of had family in that area and sort of went to that area later on in life.
Okay. Now, you've had very interesting experiences in your part of the world. When was the first time you noticed something wasn't right in your life, like it wasn't the way your friends or other people were living?
A lot of more sort of things happened to me at infant stage, Stuart. Since I was a child, having strange things happening to me.
For example, give us a experience.
Things, little grey aliens around me and...
How old were you when you first noticed this?
Well, back in the crib, 2.5 to 3 years old.
Okay, and you remember that. What happened when you were in that crib?
I remember they used to stand around the crib and lift my pyjama tops up and hold their hands over the top of my chest and just put things up my nose and all sorts of things.
What did it feel like when they touched you?
Just, it's very hard to remember back what I felt, Stuart, but it was just a numbing sensation, paralysation, can't move, that type of thing. Scream, nothing would come out.
So you were like your mouth would open and there was no voice?
Nothing come out. And the mouth would open, but nothing come out.
And then as you got older, what happened?
Well, as I got older, it was just sort of coming and going and happening on a regular basis. My nose would bleed constantly, like the sheets of the bed was just... I just hemorrhaged from the nose, both nostrils, till I was about 12, 13 years old.
Did your mother take you to the doctor?
There was a time where I was going to get my nose cauterised later on in life, but it eventually stopped.
Now, your mother had some interesting mannerisms as well.
Well, I've lived a sort of a strange life, Stuart, and it's hard to explain to people that really don't know. What can I say? My parents split up when I was 4 years old, so I come from a separated family, sort of a destitute type neighbourhood. My mother wasn't my mother all the time, and I know because I used to sort of look at her in a different way, and it's just thinking in my head what was wrong with mother at times, there was a particular day I'll never forget. I was standing behind her as a child, and she used to talk in a mumble, which was unusual, and she sort of changed. Her personality would change from time to time, and she would mumble and mumble, like she was playing like on a recorder. And sometimes it'd be real slow, sometimes it'd be and you couldn't understand it. And there was one particular day I said, just in my mind as a child, I looked up at her and I thought, what's wrong with her? And she spun around and her eyes went black.
So you were just thinking this and she picked it up mentally and...
Yeah, just spun around like, actually, a surveillance camera, pan and tilt. It was just sort of like robotic, zoom. And I was a kid, I put the fear of God in me. I thought, oh, what's wrong with mum? Just things like that would happen all the time. There was times where she used to have me in a pram, or my younger brother in a pram, and me holding on, going shopping and things like that. And she'd just stop robotically in the street and look at somebody else on the other side of the road. And we'd be there for 5 minutes. And I said to her one day, I said, Mum, what's wrong? Well, the same thing happened again. The head just spun around and the eyes went black, and she just stared at me, and like it used to put fear in me. And I knew that my mother, it was not my mother. She was being replaced by a clone or something. It was,
but you would never know when that switch occurred until you started seeing her acting differently or talking in this mumbling voice.
When she was taken over, she would never talk. Never talk. But if she did, it would be a mumble. And it wouldn't make sense to me. It was just, the house would always get messy at those times. And she was not a messy person. So
it was like she was a replacement body for when your mother was not there.
And the most important thing that stuck out in my mind was the food. This thing just couldn't cook. It was not a shade on.
Did anyone else notice this difference?
I spoke to my brother about it, and which was not, just recently, and he said, geez, he goes, I remember funny things like that. And I said, yeah, well, I'm sort of the only one in the family that has strange things happened to me and my older sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, in retrospect, when you think about that mumbling that you heard from your mother,
Yes.
do you think it was an actual language now that you're older and you're thinking about it?
Stewart, have you ever heard a tape recorder with batteries going full?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like that.
Ah. So do you think this was a mechanical person?
Well, it's hard for me to sort of explain as a child because the memories go back so far. No, it looked like a flesh and blood real human being to me, but it had no emotions inside it. It wasn't my mother.
And then how would you know when she came back?
Because the house would be clean. She would talk to me. Yeah, the food was back to normal. And just
Did you ever ask her, hey, what happened to you? Where were you? You know?
No, not really, Stuart. I think that whatever this thing used to do would block my memory, would suppress my memory to think. Yeah.
And years later, did you ever talk to your mother about that?
Oh, yeah. She knew what was going on.
Oh, so did she remember not being there?
My mother's recently died a couple of years back, Stuart, and we sort of had a funny upbringing. There's a bit of a twist to my family. Later on in life, I found out to realise that Lord Louis Mountbatten's my great-grandfather, which is a bit of a twist to it, having blue blood genetics.
Yeah.
Which I think we're all a bit loopy. I don't know, Stuart, it's just so many strange things. I mean, as a child, I remember sitting in a dentist van at school. There'd be a government-funded van that used to come around the schools, and they used to take all the children in for dental work. I remember being called into the van, and there was 2 males and 2 females, dental technicians. And I was sitting in the van, and there was just one gentleman that he said to me, open my mouth. I opened my mouth, and he's looking in my mouth. The next thing you know, he turned around, and he said to the other 2 ladies and the other gentleman that were up the other end of the van and through the corridor, he said, come and have a look at this. Well, I looked at him, and his lips didn't move. I thought, am I seeing things? And the other 3 people come in, and they're all standing around me having a conversation without their lips moving. I'm thinking,
that's scary.
What is going on here?
And you could hear them clearly right in your head.
As clear as I'm talking to you.
And did they have an Australian accent, or
yes,
were they?
Yes. And the guy that was actually looking in my mouth, he said, oh, this one can hear us. I remember that as clear as day, and they're all having a conversation. Then I got up out of the seat and went, and then it would have been obviously the next person to go in. But that van hung around the school for a good week, and I remember recesses and lunch times, they'd stand outside the van and just stare at me, and their eyes would be all evil.
But did they look human, or just...
They were as... Stuart, I get followed by a lot of them. I have for 42 years of my whole life. I can only tell you, you'd have to be with me to see it, and obviously...
And I was.
You've seen it with me. That was mild, but it's nothing for me to have UFOs pull up above my house and strange people come and hang around me. I've actually had them hovering just off the ground a couple of inches with their feet standing next to me.
So it looks like their feet are several inches off the ground.
They're sort of like they're standing on something rocking, but there's nothing. Their feet are off the ground. More than 50, 60 people have seen this with me. They tune into me, they do all sorts of things. Now, I can tell when they're near me. I can tell just by looking at them. I can feel them. I can tell when they're coming. I can tell when they're around. What it is, Stuart, these are hybrids. That's in just roaming around in society that people are not aware of.
But particularly in Australia, because the way you describe them, the way I saw them, I've never heard of it anywhere else. Like that.
I thought you really would have, Stuart, you know, with the trouble that you've had. I've had very similar trouble, although different, but, you know, just, yeah, I didn't know you weren't aware of what was happening. And I'm blessed to meet someone like you, Stuart, because for 42 years, who could I talk to? I wanted to commit suicide so many times, and yeah, I've been followed my whole life. There's been times I've been in a restaurant, and I've sat there with my lady, and I've seen 2 of them sitting there with meals in front of them and drinks, and I've been there for an hour, and they don't move. But yet you keep looking at them every, say, 10, 15 minutes, look over, the food goes down, the drinks go down, yet they don't physically eat them.
So it's like they're energetically absorbing
Well, I don't know, Stuart. I can't see it. I can feel that they're... I'm a very sensitive person, Stuart. I can feel a lot of things. I can just feel... I mean, I can tell when they're coming near me because I start feeling a little bit ill.
What happens to you when you
I just feel sick, Stuart. I feel like my etheric shifting out of my body. I feel a bit of nausea. I hyperventilate, sort of thing. Just strange things. What I do feel is high-pitched ringing in the ears, which is when they're around me. I also get that when the UFOs are hovering above my house and roaming around. I also feel like if you were to pull one of your hairs on your head, not out, but just pull it so it's almost being pulled out, that feeling I get, I think that's where they track me and tuning into me.
So it's like a pinching feeling on the top of your head.
Yes.
So it's like that could be where the energy is going in or even coming out.
Well, Stuart, you wouldn't be here if you never had the implants. We're all got implants. It's just people who are oblivious to it. We all have implants.
Yes.
And what I think it is they tune into the implants in me through like a GPS tracking system or something. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I can feel my implants being activated. Yeah, they've done some strange things to me over the years, and I've had more than a dozen times. I'd be lying if I said a dozen. It'd have to be umpteen dozen people around me that have seen this and just are shocked.
And they actually see these people look at you, and then the eyes just go black.
Oh no, some of them. This is the thing, Stuart. There must be different strains of them. Some of them wear glasses, and I've had them lift the glasses up like that at me. Just put them back down.
And what do you see when they lift it up?
Black.
Just total black.
Yes. Other ones almost full black. I've seen them with just normal eyes, but an extra ring around the actual eye. I've seen them with pearly blue eyes.
What about physical structure? Do they look physically different than a normal person?
Some of them look a little bit deformed, Stuart. Some of them look very good looking. I've had some of the women absolutely beautiful.
But you've actually seen them shift into something else.
Well, Stuart, that's another thing. I've seen them. I've been with people and told them and showed them, and they've just thought, "Wow, well, they think you're different. How do you know this? You know, are you part of some trickster thing?" Or I've seen a young bloke. He looked 22 to 25, shapeshift to an older woman of about 70.
Just like this, or was there a gradual
Hop
change?
On the car, and go down like that. And sit up and just look out like that, and it was turned to an old woman in front of friends.
Wow.
I've actually seen them disappear in front of my eyes and just turn into like it's like a snake. It's about 3 foot long. It's sort of around 4 inches wide, and it tapers down.
And it's kind of squiggly like that?
Yes, and I've seen it, and it just moves like a snake would move on the ground, but in a vertical position, but it moves around. Yeah, and when they go back into their actual physical form, their face is all lumpy and bumpy. It's like it's been melted and it's just blobs, and it sort of slowly goes back.
So it's like not fully formed yet, and it has to readjust to normal shape.
Yes, it must take some time to do it.
But yeah, you've also seen instantaneous changes.
Well, I've seen the whole car disappear from the road in front of Karen and I's eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, Stuart, I'd need a week to tell you of the things that happen to me on a regular basis.
I want to just let the audience know that I was with Cliff and his wife in a restaurant just outside of Melbourne, and we were the only ones in the restaurant, and in fact the restaurant was closing, and towards the end of our dinner, another couple came in, a young man and a woman, and they sat at a table opposite us in the side of the room, and Cliff didn't see them. He was facing me. And all of a sudden, Cliff started to feel uncomfortable, like he couldn't breathe or pressure in the chest. I think it was something like that. And he said that, and he started to say, "Their hybrids are here." And I looked at the couple, and they had both stopped what they were doing and turned slowly to look at us and smile and almost laugh at Cliff. And then the woman looked at me, and her eyes just went black, just like that. It was quite an incredible experience. And then also over Cliff's house at night, tons of flying objects, large, small, doing all kinds of zigzags in the sky. Looks like UFO Central over there in Victoria, Australia. So quite a fascinating story that I've seen with my own eyes. And I want Cliff to actually tell us some more about what you've seen, especially outside of your house when you're outside at night. when you said you try to flash a light at what you were seeing in the sky.
Well, it's like, I don't know, what can I say, to a normal person looking up in the sky and there's a lot of birds, they could accept that, but to me, it's UFOs. I've sort of been trapped in this environment my whole life. What can I say? A lot of strange things happen around me. If I go into houses and then I can tap into energy, deceased people that are in there. And there's a lot of activation when I walk in. I've been in places where people have ran out.
Because of what you've seen?
Just things levitating in the room, things flying around and strange things. I mean, I used to be a bit nervous of it, but I think a lot of that must have come from my childhood and my upbringing, Stewart. I grew up in a house where my mother done voodoo and witchcraft and astrology and tarot cards, and the house was never ending. And a lot of energy was there as a child, like ghosts and aliens and just horrible figures and things that I could not put a name to.
Did your mother ever explain to you how she does this or why she learned to do this?
Stuart, I don't know. I think when my parents split up, I think my mother took more towards that dark side, and I think a lot of it too, I think, is genetic. And I don't really know, Stuart. It's sort of hard to explain. My mother had a love. She had a passion for the dark side, and yeah, I'm just part of the parcel. I have two other brothers that never see nothing at all.
Or did they block it out of their memory?
Well, people can do that, Stuart. They can sort of put up a wall, and even if they do see something that's sort of minute to their mind. Yeah. But I used to get hammered.
What would you say is the most intense or scariest incident with these hybrids that you had?
I've had up to half a dozen of them around me.
All at one time?
Oh, yeah.
In close proximity?
Oh, Stuart, yeah. Shocking. And they just, next thing you know, I don't know where I am. The thing is, Stuart, they are everywhere, I must say, in droves. They're roaming around out in society with people, and people don't know because they have no psychic ability or senses. To me, the word psychic means heightened sense of perception. I think that my senses of perception are just a little bit more acute than the average person because of the environment I was brought up in. Genetic too, I suppose. I can feel people. I can feel if someone's having a good day. I can sort of sometimes go into someone's mind and know what they're thinking. I see energy around them. Sometimes I see dead people around them. It's just one of those things. Not everyone has a gift, and obviously it is some sort of a gift. I don't know, Stuart. Just strange things happen around me, and I just would like to say that for anybody that's watching this program and wants to really know the truth out there, if you are to talk, go to a busy place and just, all you've got to do is telepathically talk into people's heads that you think are not right, and you will get a response. They will turn around, they will look at you, and just hopefully they don't do to you what they do.
So you think that the audience could be able to choose or feel that someone isn't exactly right energetically?
Stuart, I think you've got to be a little bit sensitive to tune into them. But there's a scenario I'll give you. If you want to see for your own eyes how many hybrids are out there among us human beings, you only have to mentally talk. If you see someone and you think, geez, he looks different, or I feel something about him, just don't verbally say it. Mentally say it into their mind, and you're going to get a response.
They'll stop and look at you.
Straight away. Because what it is, I don't know whether it ever happens to you, Stuart, but if you notice a lot of people, they go into sort of la-la land for a minute, they go into semi-trance, and I think it's at that moment these hybrids are out there probing into everyone's mind, seeing whether they do know that they're around and existing. And I think, I think that's another fact to look at when people sort of go into a bit of a trance.
In your opinion,
yes.
Now that you've visited the United States, what do you feel the percentage is or comparison is from Australia to the U.S. as far as the hybrids are concerned?
They know I'm here. I walked down the pier the other day and was one of them there watching me. Other from that, I've been left alone. I don't know why.
Do you think there's less of them here as compared to in Australia?
Australia's pretty bad, and it's pretty bad around me. I have a friend, excuse me, in Victoria. She's a hairdresser. And she had a problem in her house that was, I went to their house one day and things started flying around their house and they ran out of the house crying. I said, there's nothing to be worried about. It's just energy that's still lingering. And I and Karen went down there and we repressed it. We got rid of the energy out of the house. It was just an active house. They've had a bit of an open mind and they've listened to me and they've seen a lot of things with the black eyes and things like that hanging around me. Well, I've told them that this lady Maria, she works as a hairdresser and there's 5 other ladies in this big salon and they get visits 2-3 times a week by 3 or 4 of them standing at the windows with black eyes and all the girls in there are scared.
They just walk up to the window?
They walk up to the window, they stand there, they're empty, Stuart. These are empty people. To me, the eyes are the windows to the soul.
Yes.
The soul is your emotions. These things have no emotions. They're a bit like the greys.
Like almost mechanical.
Well, they have agenda, but they have no emotions. You can't feel them from your emotions. They're empty people. And the hybrids are the same. They have no emotions.
What do you think the agenda is? Why do you think they're doing this, especially in Australia?
I don't want to put the wind up a lot of people, Stuart, but I live for today, I don't live for tomorrow. And what I feel is there is a hybrid race taking over society. Because I feel if you go back 20 years ago and have a look at motor vehicles compared to today, I mean, it's out with the old and in with the new. And I really do feel that humans in society are weak. We're breeding a weaker race. We break down. We argue. We don't want to work. We're just creating a weaker race, and I feel that they want to eradicate human beings in society. And even the Freemasons, which are high up ones, are well aware of what's going on. They have a saying that they're going to eradicate the worthiness of society. And I've also been abducted by Freemasons, and one Freemason in particular, a 33-degree Freemason, and 2 hybrids. I was taken out of my room 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was taken to the military base. It was the Freemason met me at my door with a sword, and I marched with him at will.
You were under some control?
I was under a control. I was altered to a state in Delta State, which is a neurological shutdown state. It's not known about. I think it's about 4 hertz per cycle. You're at their beck and call. They amplify a psychotronics electronics unit, which has a resonance of my blood or semen in it, and whatever they want to do with me, I'm at their beck and call. I was taken by these guys. I was laid on the table, and I had my eye detached. I had that in the actual table. It was like an oval table with hard plastic yellow with a hole in it. I had a needle put up through the back of my neck. I also had another big needle threaded up through my throat. And
maybe going into the pineal.
I know that they've threaded something into my optic nerve, so I know that they can see what I see. I know they can hear what I hear. I also even spoke to this chap, and he was just astonished how I said I don't like being abducted from my home by a sword-wielding bandit. So it was all done ritualistically too. He went off his head. I spent many a days with this chap, and I used to be a good friend of his up until that event. But very intelligent men, Freemasons, very intelligent. But they're the main driving force behind the New World Order. And I think if they feel they're going to be saved, they don't want to think again, those guys. They're pretty altered under ritual and their mind patterns. You know, I think through doing what they do, their mind's altered and they're taken over. They don't quite understand the meaning behind ritual, which there is a lot of power behind.
Yes, but you're kind of getting a grip on yourself now.
Well, Stuart, if I hadn't met you, I wouldn't be here. I have a strong lady. I've been with Karen for 21 years. She's a miracle. But if I hadn't met you, Stuart, I don't think I'd be here.
I appreciate that, Cliff. Well,
I love you like a brother.
Well, I love you too. Absolutely. And I hope that you'll keep yourself strong and keep that bioprotection around you and stop these things from happening. I know it's a 24/7 battle, every minute of the day because they're always on you. And I know it's because of your genetics.
Yes.
Being a descendant of Mountbatten, you're a prime target for them.
Yeah.
Perfect for programming and ritual use. And it's curious because they probably want to see if there are people like you in the world, if they could pick up their presence and what you could do to stop them. And that's why they intimidate you all the time, and they kind of play games, head games with you.
I play games back with them, Stuart.
Good.
I've got that vigilante programming in me.
Good. Well, here it's a good thing. I'll use the fear under your own control.
Yeah. Anyway, Stuart, as you know and as I know when we first met, you took a step back.
Yes?
Your face is one familiar face.
Mm-hmm.
As you know and I know, we've known each other before.
Exactly.
Just by visual.
Exactly.
And, it's been a long time since we've caught up.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you in ritual, Stuart.
I have same memories as that. I also remember you in Montauk Project, which is a whole nother show to do. And I just want to let the audience know that there will be a new book out on case studies of mind control and programming, and Cliff's story will be in that. And I've also asked Cliff in the future to be included in a book of advanced mind control and programming information that'll come out in the next year or two. I would also ask the viewing audience who has had similar experiences to Cliff, if you've seen beings like these hybrids or anything like that, please write into the producers of this show and let us know if you'd be willing to come on as well and talk about your stories. So until then, this is Stewart Swerdlow signing off for Reality Check, and we hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.